Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm with Ann Hensel, who is also from Oceanside, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about her thyroid. So when I first met you, you were coming in for your thyroid. We found some other health issues, but if we can kind of just concentrate on your thyroid. So what kind of things did you do for your thyroid, or what kind of problems did you have before you came in here?
Well, I have a mass on my right thyroid, about 5 centimeters. It's benign. So the doctor keeps checking it through needle biopsies and sonograms and to see if it's changed. And so far, nothing has changed.
Okay, good. And you had some issues with energy, you had issues with sleep. And so when you came in and we evaluated you, how are you doing now with those issues?
Oh, my sleep is so much better. I can actually sleep past my alarm.
Oh, fantastic.
Which typically I wake up 2 or 3 times a night.
Right.
So I don't wake up during the night. I don't have the hot sweats during the night that I had before. So I'm feeling a lot better, and I have more energy.
Good, fantastic. So one of the reasons, and why we do these videos is that sometimes people are skeptical. They've been to many doctors and only been disappointed and frustrated. If somebody's watching this video and they're not sure about coming in to let us see if there's something we can do to help them out with their thyroid, what would you say to that person?
I would tell them that I've been to many doctors too, and I have not had the results ever that I've had since I've been coming to Dr. Harper.
Great, very good. Well, thank you very much, Ann. I really appreciate it. And with all that, I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Bonnie Turner. She is a patient recovering in our thyroid recovery program, and Bonnie wanted to share a little bit about her story with us. So, Bonnie, what kind of problems were you having with your health prior to coming here? I guess you had quite a bit of weight gain, a lot of energy issues, not feeling well. Is that pretty true?
It's very true, yes.
Yeah. So when you say you had low energy, what do you mean?
I had no energy.
No energy. So you pretty much go do your job for a few hours and then...
Then I'd go home, sit down, fall asleep in the chair when I got home.
Right.
Which I used, and then I'd go to bed and I'd go back to sleep.
Okay.
That's it.
So that was pretty much it. Sleep, get up, work, go back to sleep.
That's it.
Yeah. And how long had you been putting weight on for?
A few years.
A few years. Okay, good. And so you came to our office and we did a consultation and an exam. And then I had recommended some blood work. When the blood work came back, did we explain that to you real clear?
Yes, you did.
Good.
Thank you.
And you were mentioning that you'd gone to physicians before and you never even heard of the results of your lab test.
Nope. They just said, oh, this is good, this is bad. And that's
Right, right. And so when you were, you were probably kind of baffled that why they couldn't see anything wrong in your blood work, and yet I saw all kinds of problems. And as we explained to you, we use what's called functional ranges. Those are for what we use to make people healthy, whereas these lab ranges are so wide and big. My opinion is it's kind of just so you're not dead. All right, so but we want to make sure that you get healthy. So so you've been on the program for a few months, all right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about how you're doing now.
Well, I'm losing weight.
Yeah, how much weight have you lost?
I've lost 45 pounds.
45 pounds. My goodness.
Yep.
That's four babies. Right?
45 pounds.
That's good for you, hon. Good. And how's your energy doing?
Much better.
Much better,
Yep.
right. And to get your energy up and to lose that weight, did we tell you to starve and not ever eat or do some dumb diet or something like that?
No.
No, as a matter of fact, I told you to eat more food than you were eating before.
Yes, you told me to eat more vegetables, more fruits.
Yeah. And
Quite happy with that.
Very good, excellent. And so one of the reasons why we do these videos is that if somebody is skeptical about what we can do, some people say, well, what's a chiropractor going to do for thyroid patients? And well, first of all, that's my health issue that I had for many years, and finally found the right doctor to fix it. And it was not a physician, it was not an endocrinologist, it was a chiropractor. And now that we do that in our office, if somebody was skeptical with their thyroid problem about having care in my office, what would you say to them?
Don't be skeptical. Come on in.
Good.
Because you know what you're doing.
Right. Very good. Good.
Really
and were we clear in our explanations and telling you
Yes.
what it is? And we were upfront about fees and time and money. It was all written out for you. Good.
Yes.
I think you even had a couple treatments before you had to make your decision, so that was helpful for you to decide. Very good. So if somebody's out there with a thyroid problem, what would you suggest for them to do?
Contact you.
Very good. All right.
I really
Great.
would.
Good. Thank you. So thank you very much, Bonnie. I really appreciate you taking the time today to help me help other people. With all that, I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Carrie Pinchback from Murrieta, and she's here to explain a little bit about her journey with us with her thyroid problem, and I appreciate you helping us out with this, Carrie. So Carrie, tell us a little bit about the symptoms that you had before you came to our office.
Well, I just didn't feel good in general. I felt really buzzy, really anxious. I got a lot of migraines. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, like full panic mode, not sure what was going on. I would get heart palpitations, all sorts of things.
Okay. And before you came to our office, it's my understanding that you went and had treatment elsewhere, and what did you do and how did that go?
The doctors, they would just give me SYMPTOM-LAB to take, and then when that made me too wigged out and buzzing, they would just give me another drug to counteract that effect.
So you were having to take a drug for the drug?
Yes, I was.
All right. And obviously that didn't work out too well for you. Okay, great. And how did you happen to find out about our office coming all the way from Murrieta?
I was just Googling hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, and you came up on like a sidebar, and I saw you were in Oceanside, so I clicked on it and then signed up for the monthly emails, and every email was like, whoa, that's me, every single one. So I decided to finally come and see you.
Good. And how long were you receiving those emails?
Like I think a year.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So just right now, what would you say to people who are going to wait and see and pray that some magic thing's going to happen? Would you?
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Okay, very good. So when you did come to our office, how did we treat you and what was your experience like?
Oh, it was awesome. I felt totally cared for and special, and like you guys really wanted to help me feel better.
Good, real good. And what would be your comment about the staff? How are those guys?
Oh, they're amazing. I love them.
Yeah, good. Yeah, very friendly, nice people, huh?
Definitely.
Very good. So when you came to the office and we evaluated and I determined that we could accept you into the recovery program, were we clear about the finances, the time, everything was in writing if I remember correctly, and all that? Good. And it seemed all very straightforward and all that. No funny business or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Fantastic. So here we are less than a year later, and how would you say things are going now?
I feel great.
Yeah?
Fantastic.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So the migraines real good, no issues with that?
No migraines. My energy is like crazy. I don't crash at all during the day anymore. I sleep like really well at night, and I just feel really good. My anxiety, things like getting groceries used to make me anxious, and I don't even know why, but they would. And driving in particular made me anxious, and now it's like I don't even think about it. I just do it. It's awesome.
That's great. And you've told me that you and your husband purchased your home and you're remodeling.
Yes.
Now, would any of that have been happening had you not been feeling so good?
We certainly wouldn't be responding to it in the same way, or
Right.
handling it the same way.
Sure. So, would you say that this has changed your life?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Carrie, the main reason why we do these videos is because people are very skeptical, and I don't blame them. I personally went through a health issue, and I spent a ton of money, and I didn't get any help till I found the right doctor. If somebody was skeptical about thyroid care in my office, what would you say to them about that?
I don't know. I would just give it a try. I mean, I was skeptical too, and I still have a hard time seeing the links of what exactly made me feel better. All I know is that I am feeling like I feel great. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me at all.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, that's great. Well, Carrie, like I told you earlier, I'm so proud of you. I'm so pleased. You're a fantastic patient. In school they told me one day a patient would do everything I told him, and look, here you are, 29 years later.
That's right.
So, very good. So, thank you very much, Carrie. I really appreciate your time, and have yourself a real lovely day.
Thank you so much. You've been awesome.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here today with Mary Lou Doherty, and she's going to share some information about her journey with her thyroid. And with all that, I thank you very much, Mary Lou, for doing this. If you could be so kind, tell us a little bit about your struggles with your thyroid and what you did before you came to the office.
Sure. Well, I've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, low thyroid, I'd say probably 15 years ago. And right away the doctors, of course, want to prescribe medication. And I think it was my former chiropractor or acupuncturist recommended, why don't you just take kelp? Mm-hmm. And I did. And it worked for about 10 years, and then it stopped working. Mm-hmm. So then I had to go be retested, go on prescribed medication, and it helped. However, the mood swings were still up and down. The depression was still up and down. And the energy, same thing, up and down. And the mindset of, well, okay, it must be working at one day, and then you think, well, maybe it's not working, maybe it needs to be changed. And it was, the doctor tweaked it to give it whatever the numbers were. Mm-hmm. They tweak it to the numbers.
Right.
And but since I started the program here with Dr. Harper, I had a blood test done recently for my general practitioner, mm-hmm. and he gave me the results that everything is perfect, including my cholesterol. Mm-hmm. First time that I can remember that it's below 200.
Fantastic.
And I'm real pleased.
Very good.
And now I've got lots of energy.
Uh-huh.
Naps are not mandatory.
Good.
And clearer thinking. Balance is better, yeah, since I've been doing the treatment. And so I have an appointment this month with my general practitioner, and I'm going to talk to him about the results of all the blood tests, and if maybe I can cut back on the amount of thyroid medication I take.
Fantastic. Very good. So a couple things here. So you mentioned to me earlier that you've lost some weight.
Yes, I have.
Good. And you weren't like heavy or anything, but
No.
but you've lost about 10 pounds. Is that
About
right?
10 pounds,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I noticed about you was, first, certainly your mood, your energy was just dramatically different in just a few weeks. Mm-hmm. And so what did you do those first few weeks that I was surprised to hear that you were doing?
Well, I don't know if you remember me telling you, I was in a kind of a funk, mm-hmm. as I would call it, mm-hmm. and I figured it had something to do with the moon. The week after full moon, mm-hmm. depression sets in. And then it finally goes away. And I noticed this month, after several months of treatments, mm-hmm. that here we are the week or so after full moon, and I'm not in a funk. I'm not in a depression.
Fantastic. Good. Yeah. And matter of fact, you told me that you'd felt so good that you went dancing for the first time in a long time, right?
Yeah.
And you're back to gardening. You're out working in your garden, and you said you're back to yoga, and you're doing that again, mm-hmm. and you feel that things are great.
Yeah.
So that's great. Wonderful. And now, did you notice any difference with like your hair, your skin, your nails?
Yeah. Good thing you mentioned it. Definitely, yes. My nails are actually growing. They're not just peeling off. The nail beds are nice and pink. Mm-hmm. The cuticles are not all dry. My skin used to look like alligator skin. No amount of oils or lotions would make it go away permanently.
Fantastic.
And well, I don't know about the hair. Well, the hair's not falling out anymore.
No, that's not falling
I don't
anymore.
see hair in my sink, clogging up my sink.
Very good. Very good. Excellent.
Now that you mentioned, I didn't
Very
forgot
good.
about that.
Good. So when you first came in here and we did the initial evaluation, how did my staff treat you? How did I take care of you? And how thorough and how clear were we about things?
They treat you like family. The staff is very friendly, very thorough. They certainly know what they're doing, including the doctor, mm-hmm. and he was very thorough in explaining everything. I didn't have to ask a whole lot of questions. All I had to do was answer, and I understood it all.
Fantastic.
So.
And did you appreciate that everything was in writing, and so you could take it home and study it and understand what we were doing? Very good. Yeah. Excellent. So one of the main reasons why we do these videos is because people are very skeptical, and I don't blame them. I was very skeptical before I had this kind of treatment.
Sure.
I had spent a ton of my own money, and all for nothing. It was a waste, and I didn't want that to happen again. And I know nobody else does. So if somebody was skeptical about coming in to see if they were a good candidate for our thyroid recovery program, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them go to one of the workshops and sign up for the evaluation and then make your decision.
Great. Great. Very good. With all that, Mary Lou, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure.
And with all that, I wish you a good day.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here to let you know that you too can beat thyroid disorders, and you can do it naturally. By using functional medicine and functional neurology, we're going to be able to get your hair growing back. You're going to lose that weight. You're going to get your energy back. You're going to feel calm. You're going to sleep well at night. You're going to have the excitement for life again that this thyroid disorder has taken away from you. And also, you're going to be able to do it naturally. You're going to be able to do this without any problem related to the dangerous side effects of shots, surgery, or drugs. I'm very excited to share this with you today, and as we go through the talk today, I'm going to help you to know and understand why you have your problem with your thyroid. I'm going to help you understand why it hasn't been corrected, and most importantly, how you're going to fix it. How are you going to get better? How are you going to get back to enjoying those things that you've not been able to enjoy for some time? So with my workshops and my videos, I always introduce myself. I've been in private practice right here in Oceanside since 1986. I consulted and examined and treated over 7,250 patients on my own. I'm a board member of the American Functional Neurology Institute. You may say, what does neurology have to do with thyroid problems? Hold on, put on your seatbelt, you're going to find out. It's going to be really enlightening to you to know why you need to have a good functioning nervous system. I've been granted numerous awards throughout the years as far as taking care of people and the kind of way that we do things. I regularly attend conferences and symposiums to stay on top of the newest research, diagnostics, and protocols. I pride myself on staying on top of everything that's new, everything that's coming out, and most importantly, the things that are very, very effective. I live right here in Oceanside since 1985. I love my beloved Oceanside, and I have 4 children, and I have 4 grandchildren as of the filming of this video, and love them all. Great, very blessed. So, matter of fact, here's our newest Harper. This is a Caleb, and Caleb was born just about a year ago this time of year, so very, very much love those kiddos. So one of the questions I get all the time is, why are you as a chiropractor talking about thyroid? How does cracking somebody's back have something to do with that? Well, let me tell you a little bit, first of all, my experience. So first of all, I actually have more hours studying physiology and diagnosis than a medical doctor does. If you look over here under physiology, I had 243 hours while going to chiropractic university. And here, medical doctors, 174. One of the things that really surprised me is when I looked into this, 408 hours of training and diagnosis, medical doctors only 113. That's really baffling to me. I don't understand. But I guess maybe it's because I have to diagnose chiropractic and medical problems, because if you actually have a medical problem that requires medical treatment, by law, I'm bound to make sure that you get that care and get that taken care of. I wouldn't want to have anybody in my office that wasn't going to get better from my care, so maybe you do need a medical doctor here and there, and maybe that's why the difference. Also, I studied from the very same physiology and pathology textbooks as medical students did. I have over 1,000 hours in postgraduate training, the most up-to-date research and methods, including specifically metabolic issues, tons and tons of information on that, and I continue to do that. Just 2 weeks ago I was at a conference, and next weekend I'm going to be at another conference learning how to take better care of my patients and their health issues. One of the things that sets me aside because of all this research and all these conferences and studying that I do and my passion for what I do, Most physicians use a 1960s model standard of care to take care of their patients. You go in, you tell the physician you have a problem, a symptom, they write that down, they order labs based upon that, and then you get a medication based upon your labs or your symptoms. And the reason why you get the medication is to either change your symptom or change the lab by some kind of chemistry. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it won't make much sense to you, and just here in a little bit. But furthermore, I probably have the very best credential of them all. I suffer with a thyroid problem, with a thyroid disorder. This is me 3 years ago. I weighed 333 pounds. I did everything I could to lose weight. It was just horrible. Over a 3-year period of time, I gained over 80 pounds. I was already a big guy. Here I look like one of the Thanksgiving Day balloon parade, Macy's Day Parade. It makes me sad to look at this picture, and not only was I just really fat, but I had no energy. I had lost all excitement of life. Nothing was that thrilling anymore. It had gotten so bad that when my second child was born, I didn't even bother going to the hospital. My second grandchild was born. I didn't even bother going to the hospital to see the new child. My attitude and personality became very negative. I was not invited to family events on purpose. Gal that I was engaged to, she got tired of me being so fat and cranky and mean, and she left, and I don't blame her. Gal was the love of my life, and just one day she just couldn't take it anymore, and she just up and left. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars going to specialists, endocrinologists, and internists, and they pretty much all told me the same thing: your labs are normal, there's nothing wrong. You just eat too much and you don't exercise enough. So being kind of hard-headed, I was going to prove them wrong, and I went down to eating 850 calories a day. A guy 6'4" should be having about 2,400 calories a day. So I was just right around 25% of normal. I was working out about 2 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week. And I proved them right, because I passed out in the gym and needed medical assistance to get back up and revived. I'd driven my blood sugar way too low. And in those, I think it was about 5-6 weeks I did that, I dropped 1 pound. So then I was sent to a psychiatrist. I was told that this was all in my head and that I was put on medication for that. After about 6-7 weeks of being on the medication, I remember waking up one morning, and I wasn't particularly sad or depressed, but I just remember waking up thinking that the world would be better if I wasn't here anymore. And I actually contemplated suicide. And being vain, even though I was really heavy, I wanted to leave a decent looking corpse. So as I went to go shave my face, and as I'm looking in the mirror, divine intervention jumped in and said, "What are you doing? You got kids, you got grandkids." My mom was still alive at the time, and I didn't want to put anybody through that. I didn't want to be the son or father or grandfather that wiped himself out so selfishly. So I was going to throw the pills in the toilet, and then I thought, well, maybe that's going to end up in the ocean, and fish are going to start killing themselves, so I didn't like that. So I started just giving up. I should say giving up. I guess I said giving in. So I actually got on my knees and I prayed and just told God that I'm just going to let somebody show me the way. I'm not going to spend any more money on this. I'm not going to try any more things. I'm not going to go to any more experts. I'm going to let you show me the way. And it was a couple weeks later that a friend of mine, talking to him, said, "Hey, you should read this book I'm reading," another doctor. And the book was called it's What Do You Do When the Medications Stop Working, by Dr. Michael Johnson in Appleton, Wisconsin. And he's a functional medicine, functional neurology chiropractor. And as I was reading this book, I kept turning the pages, and I thought, I'm reading my life story. This is me, this is me, this is me. This is exactly what's happening to me. And so when I got on the phone and talked to Michael Johnson, he said, well, you can do two things. This is in the middle of January, and he says you can come out to Appleton, Wisconsin, live out here for a couple months, and I'll get you taken care of. Or you can stay in sunny Southern California, and you can join my board where I teach doctors how to take care of these problems, and I'll teach you how to take care of yourself, and I'll teach you how to take care of other people that have problems like you. And I took the second option. I kind of like the warm weather, so I did, and it was amazing. We got the right tests done, and he showed me how to read them and how to understand them, told me how to eat, what supplements I needed to take, what neurological things I needed to do to get my brain involved back into taking care of my body. And man, I lost most of the weight. I have my energy back, my hair grew back, I feel really good. You know, I had gotten down to about 4 to 5 hours of practice 4 days a week because I needed a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day. Now I'm back to 4 days at 8 hours a day. Very rarely do I get a lunch break. I do eat, but don't get much time to take a break because we're just so busy taking care of people, and I love it. I enjoy it. I remember just thinking, oh gosh, how much I hated getting up on a Monday morning, or any morning for that fact, and have to drag myself into the office to try and act like I was enjoying it. And now I go to bed Sunday night, and I actually have to kind of calm myself down because I'm excited to get back into the office and help people again. So, you know, to Dr. Michael Johnson and all the other doctors that are on the board, thank you very much. And here I am today sharing this with you. Why do I go into this big long story? Because you need to know that I'm a doctor that suffered with your same problem. I went through all the same nonsense of all those other doctors and all the other expense and all the, hey, let's try this, let's try that, you know, oh, it's in your head, take these pills for depression, anxiety, whatever. And, you know, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. There is another way. You can think outside the box. You can step outside of that pharmaceutically driven, insurance company driven system that is out for their stockholders to make money, and they really don't care about you. Now, your physician might care about you, but the physician's stuck in the middle of this bum system. It's really important to understand that you will never, ever, ever get your problem fixed by taking drugs, by doing surgery, by getting shots. It'll never fix the problem. So what I'm going to do here in the time that we're going to be sharing together, I'm going to ask you to do me a huge favor. I would like you to take all the information you've ever gathered up in your life about health, disease, medicine, doctor, pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, and I want you to take all that and crumple it up into like a little ball and pull it out each side of your head and put it over here for a minute. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to step outside of the box like I did. I'm going to ask you to step outside of the system that's really stacked against you. You know, you're just a customer, all right? You're just some way to make money. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to step outside of that system, open your mind for just a little bit, and listen to what I have to say. At the end of this video, at the end of the DVD that you're watching, you know, if you don't believe what I say, or it doesn't make sense, or it's not for you, then pick that thing back up and put it back in your head. But I'm going to give you a little analogy of what's going on here. To get good quality care, to get one-on-one personalized care, you can't get it where you have care now. It's not possible. You know, you may say, well, this is my primary care doctor, this is my HMO, this is what my insurance pays for, that's what I'm going to do. A professor of mine used the analogy. If you had a restaurant that had free food, or very, very, very cheap food, you know, maybe 20% of the normal size bill, but every time you ate there, it made you sick. Every time you ate there, you didn't feel good. How many times would you keep going back? Well, it's free or it's cheap. Why not? Okay? See, the same thing is that maybe you go to a really nice restaurant once in a while. Yeah, maybe it's a little pricey, but boy, it's worth it because the service and the food and the ambiance and everything that goes with it is just great, and you really enjoy it. So maybe that's what you're going to have to do with your health. Maybe that's what you're going to have to do is quit going to that crappy restaurant with the cheaper free food, and it's making you sick, and you have to step outside, reach in your pocket, and take care of it. See, let me do a little thing with you right here. And I can't look at this picture anymore. I'm going to move this forward here. So like I said, I suffer too, and it required specialized testing and the most updated method from a special doctor to mentor me back toward health. So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you one thing here. So do this. I want you to think of 2 things right now that you could put into your life that would make you healthier. All right? Just 2 things. All right? So here we go. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Good. You got your 2 things? Now, put a smile on your face because this is going to kind of strike you funny. Did you think that taking more drugs was the answer? Did you think taking more drugs was going to make you healthy? No, not at all. So, sit back, relax, get all that junk out of your mind for a minute, and just relax and listen to what I have to say. A thyroid disorder sufferer who's in great recovery. So, do you continue to struggle with chronic thyroid symptoms day in, day out? Let's take a look at those symptoms. Are you fatigued, tired, sluggish? Do you have cold hands or cold feet? Do you require excessive amounts of sleep to function properly? Or even sleep a lot and don't function properly? Do you gain weight easily? All right? Do you have difficult or infrequent bowel movements, trouble going to the bathroom, constipation? Depressed? Do you suffer from depression? Lack of motivation? Do you suffer from headaches that wear off during the day? Suffer from thinning hair or excessive hair loss? Do you suffer from dryness of the skin or scalp? Do you suffer from mental sluggishness? These are all symptoms of hypothyroidism, low thyroid, all right? Low thyroid. Let's talk about hyperthyroidism, that is high thyroid. Heart palpitations, inward trembling, increased pulse even at rest, like you're running but you're not doing anything. Are you nervous and emotional? Do you suffer from insomnia? Night sweats? Do you have difficulty gaining weight? Now, some of you are going, wait a minute, Dr. Harper, I have symptoms in both. I have hyper and hypothyroid symptoms. Well, that's possible, and I'm going to explain why you have that in just a little bit. See, the thyroid runs your metabolism. It's the gas pedal of the body. Now, most people think that metabolism means how much food can you eat, not get fat. Well, I use the word metabolism to mean every chemical reaction in your body. There's 10,000 chemical reactions in your body every minute. More than the most sophisticated machine, most sophisticated computer, more than the most sophisticated factory. 10,000 chemical reactions a minute going on in your body. And your thyroid is in charge of every one of those. See, every cell in your body has a receptor site for thyroid hormones. See, your cells need water, oxygen, an energy source, which is glucose, and thyroid hormone. 4 things. So if the cell, everybody knows those 3 others, so if you need thyroid hormone for every cell, that must be really important. See, they're responsible for the most basic aspects of body function, impacting all major systems of the body. Look at this. It acts on your brain, your digestive tract, your cardiovascular system, bone metabolism, red blood cells metabolism, gallbladder and liver functions, steroid hormone protection. All right, that's your male and female hormones and your other things, your immune system. Glucose metabolism, lipid and cholesterol metabolism, protein metabolism, and body temperature regulation. See, very, very important that all these things are working right and the thyroid works right. See, thyroid is one of the main chemicals in your body that has what's called crosstalk. See, your thyroid talks to your immune system, and your immune system talks to your thyroid. Your thyroid talks to your digestive system, and your digestive system talks to your thyroid. Your thyroid and your brain talk back and forth. Your thyroid and your endocrine system, your hormone system, talk back and forth with each other. One affects the other. So if your thyroid goes down, your immune system, your digestive system, your brain, your endocrine system, all those things can go down. You don't want that. So think of the thyroid as a central gear in a very sophisticated engine. If that gear breaks down, the entire engine goes down with it. Now, as a doctor who takes care of thyroid disorders, I get pretty much the same questions all the time. Why do I feel so bad when my physician tells me that my lab tests are getting better or normal? And it seemed to help at the beginning, but why do I feel so miserable when I'm on the prescribed medications? Well, I have one answer to two questions. The underlying cause of the thyroid disorder has not been addressed, because if it had, you wouldn't be here. See, this is really important to understand. People think that you go to a doctor, tell him your symptoms, he gives you a pill, and you get rid of the symptoms. Well, first of all, your body's not a test tube where you put one chemical in and it does one thing. You got 10,000 other chemical reactions going on at one time. How does your body filter out this medication to affect just your thyroid and not everything else? See, when you take thyroid hormone, yeah, that does affect your thyroid, but it goes to everything else. It goes to your brain, it goes to your eyes, it goes to every single part of your body, all right? So if you had gotten to the underlying cause and addressed it, you'd be better by now, because that's exactly what I do for all my patients. See, all chronic illnesses are a combination of neurological and metabolic problems, and this requires proper neurological treatment and metabolic treatment. See, every single part of the body is connected to the other part. So when your brain tells your body how to make the chemicals that allows your brain to function, these work with each other. If one goes down a little bit, the other goes down a little bit. And then the other one goes down a little bit. And then the other goes down. So if your brain can't communicate to your body to how to take food and create a proper metabolism and keep the system clean, your brain's going to suffer. But if your brain's going to suffer, it can't tell your digestive system how to take the food, break it into energy, and use the rest of the body to keep the body clean. So this is why people get chronic problems. So I want to make a separation, differentiate between chronic and acute. See, acute problems are like car accidents, heart attacks, broken bones, trouble giving birth to a baby, strokes. If you have any of those issues going on, do it right here in the United States of America, because you are going to do much, much better with that. It is super important that you do it here, because acute care is what we're great at, and we save lives doing it. But chronic health conditions, on the other hand, we are horrible at that. Medicine, accepted medical care, or what's called standard of care, SOC, it doesn't address chronic health problems. It doesn't fix those. So I want to go over this with you to help you to understand why certain things aren't working for you. First of all, the World Health Organization rates the United States in the lower 10%. The lower 10%. We have more doctors, more hospitals, more drugs than all the other countries pretty much combined. We are 4% of the world's population, but we consume 50% of the world's drugs. Let me put that in perspective. You have a family reunion of 100 people coming over, right? You got 100 people. 4 people eat half the food and drink half the drinks. Are you going to be upset with those people? Are you going to say, what are you doing? Yeah, I would. But you would think that, well, at least they ate all that food, so they must be really happy. They didn't drink all that drink. They must be really happy. Look, we're taking 4% up of the population, but we're using 50% of the medications. And yet we're the sickest. The World Health Organization puts us in the lower 10% of longevity and health. When you look at the list of the countries above us that are above that 10%, some of them, they don't even have a vowel in their name. I don't even know where most of these places are. You look some of them up, and they don't have running water, they don't have electricity, they don't have any of those things. But they're happier, healthier, and they live longer lives. So there's something wrong here with this system. And so when we talk about acute problems, right here in the United States, chronic health problems, you got to step outside that box. You got to step outside that system, because it doesn't work. Now, when I talk about chronic health conditions and they have some common threads, I talk about all the chronic health problems that we take care of in my office. And most people kind of jump to the conclusion that I'm a jack of all trades and an expert at none. Well, the expertise comes in knowing how to take care of chronic health problems, because they all have some common threads. So in my office, we take care of thyroid conditions, peripheral neuropathy, insulin resistance, diabetes, fibromyalgia, vertigo, sciatica, chronic fatigue syndrome, hypertension, chronic neck and back pain, stenosis, irritable bowel syndrome, insomnia, ADHD and ADD spectral issues, migraine and chronic headaches. See, because they have some common metabolic imbalances, anemia, chronic inflammation, unstable blood sugar, adrenal gland dysfunction, hormone imbalances, autoimmune attacks, hidden infections, food sensitivities, medication side effects, hypoxia, which is low oxygen. Also, in addition to the metabolic issues, we can have neurological imbalances, which causes decreased frequency of firing of the brain and the nervous system, and this is what causes fatigue. This is why you end up with some symptoms for the nervous system. So, there's 22 things that can go wrong with normal thyroid metabolism. I'm not going to cover every one of them because that's nonsense. You don't need to know them all. I just need to know them all, and I need to know how to figure it out. So this is the normal thyroid metabolism. Many of you are on thyroid hormone medicines such as levothyroxine, which is Synthroid, LEVOXYL, levothyroid, or you might even be taking ARMOUR. And you still feel horrible. You were under the impression that by taking this medication you were going to feel better. Well, let me tell you something. Of the 22 problems that happen, only 2 of them are corrected by taking this kind of medication. Let me say that again. Of the 22 things that go wrong, only 2 of them are taken care of by medication like this. So, does it make sense to you that without getting to the underlying cause of your individual thyroid disorder, let me say that again, individual thyroid disorder, you'll be doomed to be dependent upon your physician to give you the drugs for the rest of your life, and you're still not going to feel well. You've got to get to the underlying cause, and you've got to know how to do that. Once you get to the underlying cause and figure that out for sure, then you got to know exactly what to do and how to take care of it. So this is a problem in the United States because there is so much marketing when it comes to pharmaceutical companies. They spend more money on advertising and lobbying the United States government than any other business does. So because of advertising, TV, movies, we've been manipulated to believe that physicians know everything about the body. Medicine has all the answers. Insurance pays for what works. And pharmaceutical companies have my best interest at heart. Now, I'm not going to sit here and beat everybody up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you something. I used to think that physicians were evil people. They know what they're giving their patients, they know that they're not good for them, and they know that they're causing them problems. Now, I'm sure some people go and they get some help, and people that have the 2 out of the 20 problems that thyroid hormone metabolism can have get help, and that's great. But see, I know physicians, and I've been able to get a little insight on them because I'm a very curious person and I ask lots of questions. And I had a couple that were willing to tell me what's going on. See, they're in a bum system. On one side you got pharmaceutical companies, and they have one job and one job only: make money. Now, they can do it by making some medications, and they tell you that they're good for you. But they lobby the government to get these medications out into the market, and instead of going through the Food and Drug Administration and rigorous testing by an outside source, now the pharmaceutical companies are the ones who are doing the testing on their own drugs, and they're paying the Food and Drug Administration to allow these things get out to where they're out in the public long before they ever should be. This is a bad system. The pharmaceutical companies reward the physicians for giving out these drugs that are probably going to cause you some problems. So here you have the pharmaceutical company who's leaning on the doctor and bribing them to hand these things out. On the other hand, you got the insurance company. The insurance company, I hear this all the time. Well, gee, Dr. Harper, if your care was so great, it'd be paid by insurance. The insurance company wants to pay as little as possible. There was a day when we would bill insurance all the time, and we would have a staff member call up and write down the name of the person we talked to and ask a lot of questions and find out what they were going to cover. And they would say, sure, we're going to cover this, that, and the other. Month and a half, 2 months later, here comes a letter saying, oh, we're not paying for this, that, and the other. We'd get on the phone and say, well, Sally on the phone said, oh, we've never had a Sally work here. Well, I spoke to Sally on this date and this time, and no, we never had a Sally. You must have called the wrong number. Really? Okay? And now there's a problem between the doctor and the patient because the insurance company. So I want to let you know something, that it's a drug-driven system. It's a pharmaceutical benefit system. And they call it health care, but it's really disease care. And if they give you a medication and you have a problem from that medication and you need another pill because you're getting side effects from that medication, that doesn't upset the doctor. That doesn't upset the pharmaceutical company at all. All right? You know, matter of fact, I had a patient not that long ago. She brought in 15 different medications. And I asked her to do me a favor to separate the original medications into one pile and the medications that she's taking for the side effects for the original medications. She put 6 in the original pile and 9 in the symptoms from the original medication. Excuse my language, but she looked at me through her tears and she says, "I'm an effing idiot." She goes, "I listened to my doctor because he's my primary care doctor. That's where I have to go. He's the one I have to listen to. He's got letters after his name. He wears this white coat with his stethoscope, and he walks around acting like he knows everything." Well, that's what everybody wants you to believe, that this is your only source, that you are stuck in this system, and this system is a problem for you. It is insane that you're taking 15 medications, 9 to take care of the side effects from these 6 over here. You know, there's a commercial on TV right now where this lady who's taking opioids, all right, very strong painkillers that are very addicting. And one of the main side effects from them, other than addiction, is constipation. There is now a drug that you can purchase that is specifically for your opioid-caused constipation. And it shows this lady walking around hand in hand, holding the hands with the opioid pill, and the nice doctor handing her prescription so she can now go to the bathroom while she's on this strong painkiller. Do you think if this painkiller was strong enough to cause problems in your bowel, don't you think it's causing problems elsewhere? Because it doesn't just go to the part of your body that has pain, it goes everywhere. So, I'm going to get off here of the medicine and the insurance company and the pharmaceutical company, but I'm just letting you know because I went through the whole thing. I spent all my money. I went even outside to specialists that my insurance company wasn't going to cover, my HMO wasn't going to deal with, and I still didn't get anything. And so this is why I do what I do. This changed my life. This is allowing me to take care of people in a natural way and a way that's safe and good for them. So let's move on from there. So I think that's a bad plan. So this is what I do in my office. This is the total step outside of the box thinking that I do. I do the detective work to find the underlying cause for each patient and then address that specific problem. That is so important. You got to have a doctor who's a detective to figure out exactly what to do to figure out what's wrong. You need a doctor to work with that'll teamwork with the patient to get your health back. And then you need a teacher. Somebody to teach you how to stay happy and healthy for the rest of your life. And that's what I do day in and day out. So, back to our normal thyroid metabolism. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, the first 2 parts of thyroid metabolism starts in your brain. That has nothing to do with your thyroid right here in your throat. You have a part of your brain that sends a chemical out, thyroid releasing hormone, from your from your hypothalamus, and then the hypothalamus releasing that chemical goes to your pituitary gland, again, still in your brain, to release the chemical TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. You're very familiar with that. So let's talk about those 2 processes right now. So, how can the process end correctly if it can't even start correctly with a bad brain? If you have a bad brain, your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland will be affected. How do you know if you have a bad brain? Well, do you suffer with anxiety, depression, insomnia, forgetfulness, brain fog, and or personality changes? If you have those things, you got a bad brain. Now, it could have been started from your thyroid problem and that affected your brain, but now your brain can't communicate to the thyroid and tell it what to do, and it can't produce the chemicals that your thyroid needs. So the thyroid gets worse, your brain gets worse. This is critical to your care. So, how do I test the brain and test and support the brain? Well, first of all, I do a functional neurological exam. Like I said, I'm a board member of the American Functional Neurology Institute. It's super important that you have a doctor that knows how to evaluate your brain properly to get your thyroid working right. So, Functional neurology. As a doctor that uses functional neurology, I do a thorough neurological exam that checks how the various parts of your nervous system, your brain and your peripheral nerves, are functioning. Has a physician ever checked your brain to see if it's functioning properly in relationship to your thyroid disorder? I would venture that the answer from you is no. Every patient that I ever talked to, I said, has that a doctor do a neurological exam or refer you out to a neurologist to see if you have a bad brain. No, they didn't. Did they do anything in relationship to your bad brain? Well, they gave me a bunch of chemicals for my anxiety and my depression and my insomnia, but they didn't do anything to fix anything. So in addition to that specialized exam, our office is one of the few in the United States that uses what's called QEEG, qualitative electroencephalogram, to evaluate your brain and then use neurofeedback to retrain the parts of the brain to become healthy again. So you're probably getting the idea that I don't like physicians or medical doctors. That's not the truth at all. There are some that I absolutely love, and this is one of them, Frank Duffy. This guy is bright and sharp, and he doesn't care whether he upsets the pharmaceutical company, insurance companies, or the AMA. Listen to this when he talks about neurofeedback and qualitative EEG. So he's a neurologist. He's the head of neuroimaging department at Boston's Children's Hospital, one of the premier hospitals in the world. He's also the head of neuroimaging research there. He's a Harvard Medical School professor. No schlub there. He conducted an independent review of the literature on neurofeedback for clinical EEG. And this, he summarized his findings as follows. The literature, which lacks any negative study of substance, which means it had no side effects and didn't cause anybody any problems, suggests that EEG biofeedback therapy should play a major therapeutic role in many difficult areas. Listen to this. In my opinion, this is what he said, in my opinion, if any medication had demonstrated such a wide spectrum of efficacy, means it works really well, it would be universally accepted and widely used. So what is he saying? Here we have something that doesn't come in a pill form, it doesn't have side effects, it is very effective, and yet it's not out there. Very few people use it, few people know. Why? Because it's been crushed by the pharmaceutical company. Pharmaceutical companies had lobbied against this, and also they said, oh, we don't teach this in medical schools. Why? Because patients would be getting well without the side effects of the medication, and we can't have that, right? So this is why I use QEEG and neurofeedback in my office. Now, here's a patient right here that suffered from insomnia, anxiety, depression, and a slow metabolism. The body wasn't burning up the fuel as the way it should, and she was putting on lots and lots of weight. So let me explain this to you. All right, this doesn't look like anything to you, but this explains a lot to me. So here's the nose and here's the back of the head. You have 4 brain waves, delta, theta, alpha, and beta. Every one of them has a job that they are supposed to do at a certain time and a certain amount in each part of your brain. So what I do to explain this is I say, look, these are 4 members of a band. You got your drummer, bass player, lead guitar, and you have your lead singer. Now, when each person in the band does their part, when the drums, bass, guitar, and singer all have the same key, same tempo, same volume, and even the same song, what ends up happening is that that's a song that we can hear, and it sounds good. Now, let's say the drummer gets off a little bit with his timing, yet the other 3 stay there. What is your attention going to be drawn to? The drummer not doing his thing. What if the singer starts singing a different song than what goes with the music, while the other 3 are still doing that? Well, our attention is going to go to that singer not singing the right words. This is the same way that I use the qualitative EEG to determine how we're going to help patients. So right here, the delta primarily is your autonomic nervous system, your organs, how to make your organs work, how to make your body get the nutrients it needs out of the food and keep your body clean. Theta, that's for sleep. Alpha, This is what I call routine activities. This is things you do without even thinking. Washing dishes, driving your car, watching TV. These are all very, things that are just automatic. And beta is you. That's your personality. That's your ability to think, plan, organize, your motivation to do the things that you need to do on a daily basis to take care of yourself and maybe take care of others. This is your goals, your planning, your thought process, all of this. So all of these are very important. Now, normal is green. Green is normal. They should all be green. If they're not all green, if they're blue, that means they're too low. That means we don't have enough of that brainwave in that part of the body. If they're yellow or red, that means there's too much in that area, and that's causing problems. So what we want to do is we want to balance this out. Now, you would think, oh my gosh, how are you going to balance this out? This seems so sophisticated and so complicated. Well, this is why I use the newest technology. So when we get this here, and to get this, you just sit there, and we have this cap on you, and it just measures the brain waves. There's nothing going in. And it's a very simple process. It takes about a half an hour to get this information. Then what we do is when you come in for treatment is this. You watch TV. Raise your hand if you know how to do this. Okay? You watch TV. Or even if you don't like TV, you can listen to music. You can listen to your favorite music. Either which way. And the way this works, now this isn't my office. We have a much better, beautiful setup. I just happened to grab this from my neurofeedback symposium booklet. So it's really nice. You just sit there and you watch TV or listen to music. And the way it works is that you have a couple little sensors on your ears and a couple on your head, depending on what part of the body we want to train. And I tell the brain, I tell the computer, I want to train down the yellows and the reds, and I want to train up the blues. And we usually set it at an 85% success rate. So as you're just sitting there listening to music or watching the TV, as long as you are training in this 85% rate of bringing down the reds and yellows and bringing up the blues, you get your music or you get your movie. As your brain sits there and starts to move out of that, guess what happens? Within 1/10 of a second, whatever you were paying attention to is gone. Whether it was music or a movie, gone. And your brain says, hey, I was listening to that. Hey, I was watching that. And your brain is really good at what's called pattern recognition. This is how you learn. Remember when you were learning how to ride a bike? If you were riding your bike and learning, boom, you fall over on the right side and hurt your right arm. Well, your brain goes, I don't want to do that again. And then you go along, guess where you're going to fall this time? Boom, the left side. After you go through a few periods of falling on the right and the left, your brain goes, wait a minute, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to figure out a way to stay upright. And guess what? You do. As you keep going along, all of a sudden you can pedal and keep the speed and the balance where you keep going. Then you can do really fancy things like take your hands off the bars, you can do fancy tricks, right? Pattern recognition, that's how you learn that. And the amazing thing is that you will have that for the rest of your life, won't you? You know how to ride a bike if you're physically fit enough to do so. So what happens is that as the radio or the music or the TV goes away, your brain starts going through all these files trying to figure out a way to get that stuff to come back. Once it finds the right thing and it starts training within the parameters that I've set, within 1/10 of a second, back on it comes. And your brain goes, I got it. So then you just sit there and you don't try to do anything. And during this time, the neurofeedback treatment, your brain is training. So the sound goes off, it comes back, the movie goes off, it comes back, and so it just keeps doing that. And so you get better. We're training the brain to train down those reds and yellows and bring up those blues. Guess what? That gives you balance. And this patient, she had phenomenal results. Coupled with the other things that we're going to talk about with thyroid, this made a huge difference in her life. A huge difference. Very, very happy. Very proud. This is a very sophisticated, expensive machine. It's about $25,000. You have to be trained on it, certified and all that. And, but it's been worth it. It's totally been worth it. So let's move here. So let's say your brain is working right. We do your brain QEEG and it says everything's fine and that's working. Great. So now we get to your thyroid. So there's actually something going on in your thyroid. So TSH, like I said, thyroid stimulating hormone, stimulates TP, all right? thyroid peroxidase. That, along with zinc, manganese, and other minerals, it takes up iodine to become T3 and T4. The thyroid hormone T3 has 3 iodines. The thyroid hormone T4 has 4. Now, you have to have proper pH is required for the thyroid to access and utilize the iodine. What is proper pH? Well, we've all heard of acid, all right? Like your stomach has lots of acid to break down the food. The pH of your stomach is 1. We've all heard that you need to have a basic blood. Your blood needs to be a good not basic, it needs to be balanced around a 7.0, 7.2. That's where we want your blood. That's very healthy for your body to be non-acidic. We've got to have a good, decent, high pH around 7, so the iodine can be used by your thyroid. Now, if your blood pH is low, if it's acidic, the iodine to make T3 and T4, that's not available. No iodine, no thyroid hormone. So you could be, this is very common, you could go to your physician, or you go to a health food store, or go online, type in thyroid, low thyroid, blah, 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 and what does everybody do? Take iodine, okay? You're actually making yourself sicker by loading in more iodine that your body's not even going to use. So no iodine, no thyroid hormone. Don't be taking it indiscriminately unless you know what your problem is. So how do you know if you're acidic? Well, it's a very simple test. You just use these little strips of paper, and your first morning urine, you just urinate on it, and then it has colors on it, and the certain, wherever the color ends up, that'll tell you what the pH is. And then you have a little index on the bottle that tells you what your pH is. We have our patients keep track of this. This is helping us to know exactly how you're coming along and if your body's being able to use the iodine that it has. So how does your body get body acidity? You get poor diet, you have toxins in your body that your body has got rid of, heavy metals. This is another important part. We'll talk about that later in lab testing. So let's say your brain's working right, you have a good pH, you got enough iodine, and that's all working. So your body, your thyroid makes T3 and T4. T3 is the active form. Guess what the percentage of T3 is of the total thyroid hormone? It's 7%. You're like, whoa, wait a minute, Dr. Harper. So when my thyroid makes thyroid hormone, only 7% of it is the active form that comes right out of the thyroid? That is exactly what I'm saying. See, I told you there's 22 things that go wrong with the thyroid, the body's use of thyroid hormone. Most of them have nothing to do with the thyroid. So if your body only creates 7%, that means 93% of the body's other thyroid hormone is inactive, right? It's unusable until it becomes activated. So how does it become activated? Well, the first thing is that it has to get on a bus to get to other parts of the body. That bus is called thyroid binding globulin. It's like a bus that grabs the T4 and it takes it to the other parts of the body for conversion into the active form, which is T3. So if the transport method, for the vast majority of this inactive form cannot be delivered to the conversion sites, you cannot have or create enough active form to feel good. Does that make sense? You've got to have T3, that's the active form that lets your body and your brain work right. But if most of it is T4 and it can't even get to where it's supposed to go, what are you going to do? So how do you know about that? Well, I test for TBG on an expanded thyroid panel. Simple, easy, and inexpensive add-on test. It's about $10. Okay, $10 test. And you go, well, my doctor didn't do that. Right, because that's outside of standard of care. Guess what? Your doctor is only going to order what the insurance company says is standard of care and what they're going to pay for. All right? So that's not on that panel. So if you have a problem with thyroid binding globulin, your answer is not going to be take a bunch more of your thyroid hormone. Now, the next stop is the liver. So why does the liver have anything to do with with thyroid hormone? Well, this is where 60% of the conversion of T4 to T3 happens. This is the vast majority of the active form of your thyroid hormone is activated in the liver. So if the vast majority of the conversion happens in the liver, don't you think it'd be very important to test to see if the liver is healthy? I do. I test the liver by doing it as an add-on to a complete metabolic panel, right? You know, as a thyroid patient, did your doctor ever check your liver? Not very much. They run T3 and TSH and maybe T4. That's the ones they usually run to let you know how healthy you are. So I check your bilirubin, your alk-phos, your aspartame aminotransferase, and your alanine aminotransferase. All those things, very important to check to see if your liver's working right. Now, okay, so let's say this is all working. The brain's working right, your pH is good, your thyroid binding globulin is good, your liver's good. Well, we still have 40%. Where's that translated to, okay? Well, in the digestive system. So you got 20% of the conversion of the inactive goes there, and then the other 20% is throughout the body. What can go wrong in your digestive system? Well, there's a very common problem called food sensitivities. They are not full-blown allergies where you eat food and it makes you just radically sick, like vomiting or diarrhea or that. But you might have food sensitivities. You might get a little bloating. You might feel very tired and sleepy after eating. You might get a lot of gurgling and grumbling going on in your digestive system. You could also have another problem called leaky gut. Your digestive system is supposed to protect you and keep certain things in this tube and go out the back door and not get across into your blood. Unfortunately, what happens when you get leaky gut, it makes holes in your digestive system, and parasites and bacteria and chunks of food can get into your blood, and that can cause all kinds of problems. Also, like I was just talking about, undetected infections such as parasites and bacteria, that can cause problems in your digestive system. Now, we've gone over a lot, right? This is a lot of stuff. And this may seem like a very thorough evaluation of your problem. It might have covered, all the main things that could go wrong, but I want you to know something. And this is a big thing that you got to know. In 1998, the Journal of Metabolic and Endocrine Disorders, this is the #1 thyroid journal in the world, stated that 90% of all hypothyroidism, low thyroid, is caused by an autoimmune thyroid condition. Now, I didn't even talk about that. Everything else that I've talked about, plus there's about, like I said, there are 22 altogether, and I only talked about 8 of them. All those other things, that only covers 10% of why people get low thyroid problems. And high thyroid symptoms, and I can tell you why in a minute. An autoimmune thyroid condition. What the heck is that? Well, my question is, here we are 17 years later. Why is this well-researched, peer-reviewed, well-accepted fact that this is not part of the treatment from your physician? And I got 2 answers. First of all, remember what I said about the 1960 model of thyroid treatment? Symptoms, lab test, medication, lab test, medication. It's aimed at the lab test. It's aimed at your symptoms. Well, the second answer is, and this will shock you, is that the physicians in medical treatment, they don't know what to do about autoimmune problems. When I went back to one of my endocrinologists and I said, why didn't you test for this? You could have saved me all kinds of problems. He says, I don't know how to treat that. Wow. Really? Your ego is more important than the patient? Finding out what's really, well, yeah, I don't test for that because I don't know how to fix it. So how am I going to tell the patient you have something that I don't know how to fix? Maybe refer them out to somebody that's going to help them. Okay. All right. So let's get back on autoimmune thyroid condition. What does that mean? It means your immune system is attacking your body. Your immune system, instead of just fighting bugs and germs and infections, it's attacking you, right? Specifically your thyroid. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, this was obviously discovered by Dr. Hashimoto. It's an autoimmune disorder in which the patient's immune system attacks the thyroid gland. Patients that suffer from Hashimoto's experience some or all of those above symptoms. Remember when I said that some patients, when I was reading out the hypo and the hyperthyroid list of symptoms, that you were saying, gee, I got both. That's why. Because sometimes when your body's full-blown attacking your thyroid, it pops all those cells and you get tons of thyroid hormone in your blood system. Now you're hyper. After it pops a lot of those cells and the thyroid has to rebuild itself, in that time that it's growing, you're going to have super low thyroid hormone and you're going to have low thyroid symptoms, hypothyroidism. So how do you know? Well, again, you order some blood work for the TPO and the TGB antibodies. a simple and expensive add-on to a thyroid panel, 10, 15 bucks. One of the huge benefits of being evaluated in this office is that not only do I know what tests to order, but I use what are called functional lab ranges. See, functional ranges are to determine how to make you happy and healthy and not just dead. Let me explain. So, when schools started to figure out they have to grade the students, sorry, when schools decided that they need to grade students, they came up with the bell curve. 20% were going to be above normal, that's your A and B. 20% were going to be below normal, those are your D's and your F's. And 60% were going to be average, those are your C's. And that seems to work pretty good, I guess. But what happened is when labs had to figure out, well, what's normal labs, they decided to use the bell curve. Well, that's not going to work, and let me tell you why. The way they come up with these ranges is that every year, any lab that you've had done goes off to a clearinghouse and is put in a computer and is averaged with everybody else's. So they come up with this 20, 20, and 60% normal. Well, it's 60% average of the people who did the tests. Let me ask you a question. Who's the vast majority of people getting tests done? Is it healthy people just going and getting checked up? Or is the vast majority sick people? Well, my delusion is it's sick people. There are some people who do go there and get normal checkups and so forth, but the vast majority of people are sick. So when you get the 60% range of normal that are average, you can't say that's normal. That's normal of sick people. So I use functional ranges. See, here's your 20% too low, 20% too high, and here's your 60% average. But I use functional lab ranges. And I didn't make these up. This comes from a group of doctors called the Endocrine Society. They saw the lunacy of using this normal range and saying people are healthy. So when I talk to my patient, I go over their labs, I say, do you want to use this big giant just so you're not dead range? Or should we use this narrow so you want to be happy and healthy range? I'll take the latter, Dr. Harper. That's the one I want. So it's really important. So let me show you. So lab ranges versus functional medical lab ranges. When we're talking about the TPO and the TGB antibodies, standard lab ranges is 40. You have to have 41 of these antibodies to one of these things to be considered Hashimoto's. Well, I use functional lab ranges. You get anything over 10, that's a problem. But let me ask you this. If you were 0 to 10, if you had any antibodies to your thyroid, doesn't that seem weird? Right? Antibodies are to fight germs. Why is your body already thinking that you have a problem with your thyroid? Why is it attacking like a germ? Well, let me give you this. This is by Dr. Tom O'Brien. He's known as the gluten coach. All right. Positive predictive value of developing Hashimoto's within the next 7 years is 92% if you have any TPO antibodies. Not elevated, not 0 to 10, not over 40, but any. All right? So, in medicine they say, well, let's just do this. You're fine, you're normal. All right? And we'll just wait 7 years until you're like really sick. And then come on in, and then we can give you the diagnosis, and then we can give you medication that's not even built for the problem that you have. See, folks, you got to get out of the system. It's a bum system. It's a bad system. Right? Acute problems, beautiful. Chronic health problems, it's disaster. You're just a customer. Right? There's nobody fighting for you. You have to step outside of that system. You have to take care of yourself. You have to watch out for yourself. Or at least hook up with somebody who is willing to do that for you. So, can you suffer from Hashimoto's if you've had your thyroid removed? Yes. The way I've had it explained to me numerous times that thyroid is kind of like gum on the bottom of your shoe. You can dig it out and get it out, but there's always going to be a little bit less. So you could still be having problems with thyroiditis, if you've had your thyroid removed. What about ARMOUR or dissected dry thyroid made from pig thyroid glands? Well, if you're going to take a medication, ARMOUR is definitely better than taking these other manufactured ones. Now, the problem with ARMOUR is, first of all, your physician's probably not going to, give that to you, even though you asked for it. But see, it comes from pigs. Now, pigs are in the environment, so you're at the mercy of what did the farmer feed the pig. Did they give them antibiotics because they're close in on each other, and so they don't want to lose a big part of their group of animals if somebody gets sick? Are they filling them up with hormones so they grow faster and get more meat? Are they having these kind of problems? Are they feeding them non-GMO food or GMO food? So all that gets into the thyroid. What's in the environment around there? What's in the water? Is there pollution, toxic metals? So, the stuff is in there. So I get a little nervous about that. What about adding T3? Well, again, you could add T3, but T3 is not the same exact thing that your body makes. So, again, we're not test tubes. You can't just throw in a chemical thinking that your body's going to do that. If you start throwing T3 in there, guess what's going to happen to the functioning part of your thyroid? It's just going to readjust and say, well, I guess I don't need to make this stuff. So you're just going to have to keep taking more and more medications with less and less effects. And in the long term, at some point, your thyroid's just not going to work. It's just not going to work because you're putting all these chemicals in. So how do you start your immune system? You got to find and support the underlying cause of the immune system dysfunction. See, this is really important to understand. Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune problem. Autoimmune problems are not the thyroid problem. That's an immune system problem. You got to find out what's causing that problem and you got to fix it. So it could be a bad brain, acidic pH, thyroid binding globulin problems, liver functions, food insensitivities, leaky gut, hidden infections, low hydrochloric acid, immune system dysfunctions. It could be something else. But in the short time that I have to keep your attention, I'm not going to keep going over everything, the single thing that could do that for your thyroid and your dysfunctioning body. But because your body has a web of physiological dysfunction, everything's connected to everything else, any problem in the body causes a problem somewhere else. So along with thyroid problems, you could have other things of health breakers. You could have digestion problems, all right? Right there's where 80% of the immune system is, so leaky gut, food sensitivities. You can have blood sugar dysregulation, inflammation, super big problem that we deal with. Autoimmune to other areas, your cerebellum, different parts of your brain, your pancreas causing blood sugar problems, your brain, neurotransmitter dysfunctions. You can have anemia. Lymphatic dysfunction. Lymphatic is the gutters of your body draining the junk away from your organs and systems to make them work right. Liver gallbladder dysfunction. Fatty acid metabolism dysregulation. Carbohydrate metabolism problems. Energy production markers. You could have toxicity issues, right? All these need to be functioning really well so you can really have that happiness and that health that you're looking for. So to sum it all up, this is a lot, okay? I don't treat thyroids. Because you're not a body with a sick thyroid. You have a malfunctioning thyroid in a sick body. Let me tell you that again. You're not a body with a sick thyroid. You have a malfunctioning thyroid in a sick body. We've got to get to the underlying cause and fix that. So my only goal with my patients is to do the detective work, to find the underlying cause, and for each patient then address this specific problem. You can't get well anywhere else, right? No two thyroid patients, and I've taken care of hundreds of them, hundreds of thyroid patients, and no two have the same problem. No two. Not at all. Mine wasn't the same as any of theirs, right? Everybody had a different issue that needed to be addressed differently. This is why my protocols are so different and why my results are so effective. So, and what makes our office different from every other office that you've ever seen, we manage and support our patients neurologically and metabolically. Again, both of those things are tied in and you got to deal with both of those because both those things are related in every chronic health problem. And I'm here to tell you right now, we leave no stone unturned. Okay? I determine the exact cause of your condition. I leave no stone left unturned. I will dig and look and get to the bottom. All right? How's that sound? Does that sound good? Sounds good to me. The human body heals by correcting what is wrong. If you're going to get anything out of what I say today, this is it. The human body heals by correcting what's wrong, not covering up symptoms or manipulating lab values with chemicals that never will work. At best, temporary, but it will always cause more problems in the long run. This is what makes me unique and different from everyone else there. I make it my mission to get to the bottom of your thyroid disorder, and I give the body what it needs to repair and function properly. I use individually tailored natural protocols to allow your body to achieve maximum healing. Isn't that what we're all about? It has to be individually tailored because no two thyroid patients are ever alike. So think about this right now. We only go around this thing called life once. Is this really how you want to live it? Is this the way you want to go? Really? Really? Okay? I mean, I was horrifically sick and miserable, and I hated it. I had so many things to be thankful for. A career that I loved, children, grandchildren, my mom still alive and loving me, friends, nice place to live, everything. I live right here in Oceanside. How lucky can I be? And I hated my life. I was miserable. Lost the love of my life. All I wanted to do was just sleep and just lay around and do nothing. My favorite activities of enjoyment and fun and dancing and all that was just, I could care less, right? I decided not to accept it, and I found a better way. Do you really just want to accept that this is and worse is your lot in life, really? Okay. So what's next? Make an appointment, all right? Listen to me now. Make an appointment. Now, you have to qualify for my thyroid recovery program. Why? Because we're so busy. And I don't have the time or the desire to work with everybody. I want only committed patients, right? This is going to take some on your part. You're going to have to do some things on your part that you don't normally do. I know you think you can go to your physician and you pay your copay or nothing or it's free or whatever, and you take the pill and you go off and keep doing the same dumb things that are making you sick. That doesn't not work in my world. It's not working in yours either. So let me tell you about, one of the things about me is I'm always going to tell you about the time and the finances involved with what's coming up. So this is your first 2 visits. Say, I do a complete neurological exam for very obvious reasons. I'm going to review any existing labs. Please bring in your labs. Let me show you what's going on with your labs. You're going to show me your TSH and your T3 or your T4, and I'm going to point out how this is wholly inadequate, but I'm going to tell you what it means so far. You're going to fill out what's called the metabolic assessment form. This is about 200 questions, very nosy. I'm a very nosy person, and I want to know about this. It's 200 symptoms that you have, and you're going to scale it from 0 to 3. 3 means that you're having it on a regular basis. 0 means you never have it. 1 to 2 means something else in between. By you filling this out properly, I save you thousands of dollars in labs. Let me say that again. When you fill this out properly, I save you thousands of dollars in labs. Also, I use this as a form to determine who is serious about this. So, don't do this, especially guys. They just go in and they go 0, 0, 0, 0. When I get a form, when I see big blocks of zeros, I just hand them back the form. I say, we're not a match. Thank you. Why? Because you're not serious about your health enough to even sit down and take 20 minutes to fill this thing out. All right? Make sense? Good. Now, you got to be with your spouse or significant other if applicable. A few years ago, I decided this was never going to happen in my office again. I'll have a patient under care. They're doing great. They're following my recommendations. And they call up and they cancel all their appointments from here on out. I call them up. I always think either myself or the staff did something wrong. And I want to know because I don't want to do this to anybody else. I get on the phone and I find out it's their significant other in their life is giving them so much grief. They'd rather go back and have their pain and their symptoms instead of listening to the pain of this person. And what I came to find out is that before the significant other or spouse came to the meeting, they didn't understand what was going on. Why do you keep going there? Why do you have to eat differently? Why do you have to take these supplements? Now that these people come to the first and second visit, they totally understand. Matter of fact, now, we have 3 people now involved with this person getting better and not just me and the patient. So I get better results. So this is why the significant other needs to be there. On day 2, if I accept your case, we're going to go over what labs need to be done, review the neurological stuff that we did the day before, the visit before. I'm going to overview your plan of care, and I'm going to go over your fees. And again, the spouse got to be there. Now, you're going to get a book about this thick on that day that you come in on the second visit, if I can accept you into the program. In there's going to be any therapies, in-office therapies, any treatments we need to do, anything that you're going to do, the scientific research behind it, all that's going to be in there to help get your nervous system balanced. Also, there's going to be the list of all the labs and why we're going to do that. And so also there's going to be any time involved, any visits in the office, how many months I expect this to be. Also, very important, very clearly, cost. What is it going to cost? Some different options on plans, different payment options in my office. All this is going to be in writing. There's not going to be any misunderstandings. I hate it. I come back from the doctor and I try to remember what he said. I hate it when somebody in my family says, well, I think he said this, I think he said that. I'm like, why isn't this all written down? Because I want to make sure that you have very clearly what's going on with you so you can make the best decision for you. So, because of my limited, my office time limitations, I can only accept 10 patients of thyroid disorders a month. So, my first 2 visits are usually $450. But after this workshop or video, you can call and make an appointment for $65. Why the big difference? Well, I just give you my plan here. I don't have to take an hour and explain all this. So this is the difference between the 2 fees. Now, reserve your appointment now, and I'll include 2 days of treatment, all right? All that apply to your specific case, and I'll do the brain mapping. Normally, I charge $200 to do the brain mapping. That'll be included. So you'll have your exam, any necessary x-rays, go over any labs, any paperwork that you bring in. We're going to do the brain mapping the first day. Then the second time you come in, I'll do the report. You'll have everything in writing, what we're talking about in my recommendations, and you'll have any treatment. Now, in those first 2 days, there'll be no lab work and there'll be no supplements. I want to be really clear about that. So we won't have any of that. So what else do you need for your first appointment? You got to bring shorts, sweatpants, and a t-shirt. Whatever you need to bring so I can get to you from your elbows down to your fingertips and from your knees to your toe tips. As I do my neurological examination, I need to evaluate these areas. You got to have all the paperwork filled out completely, like I said. Bring the spouse, significant other as well, and you got to be on time. Now, you don't bring the right clothes, you don't bring in the paperwork filled out, you don't bring the significant spouse, you don't show up on time, we're done. All right? And when you call to make that appointment, we're going to collect that fee over the phone. If you're comfortable giving the fee over the phone, you can mail it into us, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to set aside a whole hour of my time. I don't want you to decide at the last minute not to show up and then you rip me off for an hour. That's why we collect the money before. The people who pay will show up. If you do any of these things, I'm going to hand you back your paperwork, I'm going to hand you back your $65, and I'm going to say we're not a match. Why? Because you're not serious. I only want serious patients. Do you kind of get me here? So, commitments here, and then also the insurance. I know this is the part you're waiting for. So, you got to be willing to make lifestyle changes. What are you going to have to do? I have no idea. I won't know until I get your blood work, your lab work, and all that stuff back. I don't know. All right? What lab work are you going to do, Dr. Harper? I don't know. I know specifically we're going to do a full panel on your thyroid, and I'm going to check your liver really clearly, and these kind of things. We're going to check your pH, but I don't know what you're going to need to do. So don't ask me what you're going to need to do until we get all that stuff. Then again, you're going to get another booklet, nice and big, that'll explain everything, the food, the supplements, everything that you're going to need to do to get your health back. You have to take accountability for your own personal health. If you think this is your government's responsibility, your insurance company's responsibility, your parents, your kids, your brother, teacher, preacher, your veterinarian sister's cousin, if you think somebody else is responsible for your health, please, please, please don't get involved with me. Only people who take responsibility for their health like I did get better and get results. Now, insurance and Medicare only pays a very small portion of this care. Why? Because they only pay for standard of care. What's standard of care, right? Drugs, shots, surgery. I don't do any of those things. I don't want to poison you. I don't want to cause any problems, right? So, but we've made our thyroid disorders recovery program so reasonable that 96% of all the people who come through our office that I can accept into the program can go on to payment plans for as little as $200 to $400 a month for 18 months. And I want to be really clear about this. First of all, most of my healthcare programs are 4 to 6 months. All right? So you will be paying longer than you'll be receiving care. Now some people go, well, why would I do that? Well, guess what? even after you're done paying for the care, you get to keep your health for the rest of your life, right? Right? You get to keep your health for the rest of your life. You don't have to keep paying me for that, because I'm going to teach you how to take care of yourself. I'm going to teach you how you don't need me or any other doctor, not just for this, but for everything that we can figure out that was what's going on with you. We're going to get you off that doctor go around. You know, I am shocked how sometimes we have problems scheduling patients because they have to work around the, heart doctor and the brain doctor and the kidney doctor and the stomach doctor and the big toe doctor and the left nostril doctor, and it just goes on and on and on. The way I take care of my patients is, let's work on all of this. Let's fix everything as best we can, right? And then the other thing too is about money. Oh, well, gee, that's a lot of money. You have a house, right? Or you have a place where you live, you pay rent. I bet it's more than that. I'm sure you have a car, and when you bought it, you paid more for that. You have a cell phone usually, you have internet usually, you got cable at home, you buy yourself nice big screen TVs all the time because you need those things, right? And insurance should cover your health. See, it's a bum system, right? I don't look at it that way. I look at it this way. How many hours a week are you in your car? Okay? How many hours a week are you in your car? How many hours a week are you in your body? See the difference? Your body is way more valuable than anything you could ever purchase. And if you can get to the right doctor that cares enough to do the right things, to figure out the underlying cause, and then come up with an individually tailored program just for you so you can get your health back, how valuable is that? How exciting is that? So, as part of your initial evaluation, like I said, you get the complete written report of findings, protocol fully explained, time involved, cost of any treatment, payment options. So these are the 6 things I want you to think about as you determine whether you want to call the office and get going with us. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious is your illness to you? How's this causing you trouble? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? By definition, a chronic thyroid disorder will get worse without getting to the underlying cause, will cause you to take more medication, and you'll need more medication for the medication that you're taking to cover up those symptoms. That's the definition of a chronic health problem. How has this affected your relationships? I lost the love of my life. Thank goodness I got a gal now, and she's great, and she's the love of my life. I sure hope it stays that way. And I'm going to do everything I can for my health and my attitude to make sure it stays that way. So how about your work, your ability to enjoy things in life, right? Get out and have fun. Get out and dance. Enjoy life, the good things. Think of 3 things you could do if you didn't have thyroid disorders. What sports, what activities, what relationship things would you do? Super important, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about eliminating your problem and this illness? See, if you're a 7 or less, please, 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 don't call, don't make an appointment. If you're going to work on this problem less than 70%, 70% or less, and I have to work 100%, that never works. If you're an 8, 9, or 10, call me. I'd love to work with you. That's the kind of attitude I can do a lot with. And I'd be very honored to do this with you, because we're both going to work toward 100% of getting you better. Again, due to time constraints, I can only accept those who are really, truly committed. I'm serious about that. So if you're not really, truly committed to getting healthy, please don't sign up. So a diagnosis of a thyroid disorder is not a death sentence. It does not mean that you have no chance for living a long, happy life full of energy. Look at me. I'm living the life. I have a great time and a great life. And it's all because I found the right doctor who was willing to step outside the box with me, find what was the underlying cause of my problem, figure out a program just for me, and I was able to get well. If you need any more information, you can send an email to askdrharper@att.net. Our office phone number is right there. Beat Thyroid Disorders is our website. You can certainly go take a look at that. The last thing I want to let you know is that it has been a real honor to be able to share this time with you. I love my gal. I love my kids. I love my grandkids. Complete joy. Fabulous. I have relationships with friends. I have the same best friend that I've had since 4th grade. Really great. But since I got my health back, and see what it's done for me. Taking care of people, putting my heart and soul into figuring out what's the best way to help this person that's right in front of me asking for help, and how can I do it in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable fee. That is the juice of my life. When people hug me and say, thank God I found you, Dr. Harper. Thank God I'm doing so much better. You know, look at this. I've lost all this weight. Look, my hair's growing back. Gee, I'm getting along with my significant other again. I'm being invited back to things. I feel like being part of the family again, getting out. That is the juice of my life. That is the excitement. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be a better doctor because that is what excites me. And I just want to let you know that if you do call us, I'll do everything I can for you. If I can't personally help you, I'll find somebody who can. I work with patients from all around the country. I have people that come and see me. I have people that I have never even met. I only know them through Skype, and I help them on a regular basis through internet, through text, through emails. You know, this is great. I can do a lot for people even if I don't get a chance to put my hands right on you. But I do want to let you know that I really appreciate you watching this. I really would love to get an opportunity to help you out. And again, if I can't help you, I'll find somebody who can. God bless. Thank you very much.